If you're looking for that performance sound for your 2005 to 2015 4-liter powered Tacoma, but don't want to pay that performance price, then this system from C&L is going to be just what you're looking for. Featuring a slightly more aggressive look, a much rowdier exhaust note, and a really affordable price, there's really a lot to like about this system. Now on our loudness meter, we're going to give this one a very strong 3 out of 5. It's definitely a bit loud, and it's much different than your stock system. So if you really want to wake up your Tacoma, this is a great way to do it without having to spend a ton of money. I don't think anybody out there can deny the reliability of the 4-liter 1GR V6 that powered this gen of Tacoma. But there's also no denying that that engine sounds like a vacuum cleaner in stock form. I can hear that big fan whooshing inside of my head right now. So safe to say that stock exhaust leaves a lot to be desired. Now what we have here is a full catback system from C&L that's going to ditch your factory piping, your factory muffler, and your resonator, and it leaves you with just this one canister style muffler in the middle. This really doesn't have any baffling in it, and there's not too much packing, as you might be able to hear. And it is, of course, straight through. Now that is going to make for quite a bit more resonance and more volume than stock, because really this is all you've got. And as you heard from the clips at the start of the video, it really takes the Tacoma from mild to a bit more wild. You get a much deeper growl and you get some fun raspiness as the revs climb, and it injects the truck with some real character. You are going to want to turn up the volume on the radio just a bit though, so just be aware of that going in. Now that straight through design of the muffler also means that this will flow better than your stock exhaust too, because there's simply less restriction. Now that means that you may see an increase in power and response. Now I'm not talking huge numbers here, but more flow is never a bad thing, especially when it comes coupled with some really good sound. Exiting in the same location as your stock exhaust, just behind the passenger side rear wheel, the system is capped off with this cool texture black /cut tip. So while it's not the most obvious thing visually, it does still add a bit of an aggressive air to your truck. Not everybody is going to notice it, but it is still a nice addition, and I like the fact that this is a textured finish and not just gloss. It does give a little bit of a hint to the keen observer that your truck is not stock though. Construction here is all 2.5-inch mandrel bent 409 grade stainless steel tubing. That material does have some really good resistance to rust and corrosion, and it doesn't cost you quite as much as T304. That additional protection means that this is a great choice for a daily driven truck, and again, it's not going to cost you a ton. The tip, however, is made from T304 stainless steel, and it's finished in that high temp texture black coating, and it is a dual wall design, so it looks good and has some extra protection built in. This is designed to be a bolt-on installation too, with all the clamps and hardware you need included in the box, but we'll talk more about that in just a moment. First, we got to talk about what is perhaps the best part of this entire system, and that is the price. Coming in at about $350, this is one of the most affordable exhausts on the market for these trucks, bar none. It's a great price for a nice bit of kit that makes a good sound. So if you want that performance sound and you want some seriously good build quality, I mean, check out these welds. This is a great way to get it without paying nearly as much as you might have expected. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, like we discussed a few moments ago, this is designed to be a bolt-on system. It's going to utilize all your stock exhaust hanger locations, so you don't need to modify anything on the truck itself. We're also going to walk you through the installation process step by step right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you want an impact, swivel adapter, 14 and 15 millimeter sockets, a hanger removal tool, and also not shown here is a pole jack and some spray lubricant. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing an exhaust on our Tacoma, but before we get started we're going to send you to watch a quick video on how to remove your factory exhaust, and we'll see you when you get back.
Alright, so we have our Tacoma in the air, and the first step in the uninstall is to remove both of the bolts at the front flange of the exhaust. Grab a 14 millimeter socket and let's get these removed. Now we have a little bit of PB Blaster on these just because they are a bit rusty, so we sprayed them down. Now we can remove them with a 14 millimeter socket. Now that we have our exhaust disconnected, we can disconnect all of the hangers as well. We have an exhaust hanger removal tool here. And we're going to slowly work it off of each of the hangers. You can add a little bit of lubricant here to help the rubber isolator move past the hanger. And you might just have to work it off of the end a little bit. And now that that's off, we can move on to the rest. Now you can repeat that with the rest of your hangers. Just be ready, as once all of your hangers are removed, there's nothing else holding the exhaust to the vehicle. And once the hangers are removed, go ahead and remove it off of your truck.
Alrighty guys, welcome back. Now that we have our factory setup off, it's time to start going on with our new system, and we're going to start with our mid-pipe at our 2-bolt flange. We've got a pole jack to help us hold this in place. We're going to set this on and line it up with our bolt holes. Get that on. We're going to grab our factory spring bolts and get those back in place. Get this through. Now we are using nuts on the back side. Ours have been worn out over time. You should have your welded nuts on the flange from factory. So get that first one in, our other one on. Now we can tighten these down with our 14mm socket and swivel adapter. Again, we have to use a 14mm wrench for our nut. That side tight. Next, we need to get our hanger clamp in place, so we need to install our hanger onto our clamp. So what we're going to do is squeeze our clamp to loosen up the area around the nut. And you get this wider end over the nut and washer. Sometimes this is easier said than done. Once you get that to set all the way in, we're going to install it like so it points back to this factory isolator. We're going to set this on our new mid-pipe. We'll just get it pointed in the direction of our isolator. Next, we'll get our muffler on. So we're going to slide our inlet slip joint over our mid-pipe. Get that fully seated. Then you want to make sure this clamp lines up with your isolator and goes over the slip joint. That may take some maneuvering. You want to kind of back your muffler up enough to where it's still fully past the reliefs cut in the slip joint, so your hanger can sit straight. Now once we have this in position, we're going to grab our 15mm socket and we'll tighten this clamp down. Next, we can get our muffler outlet / over axle section in place. So the first thing we're going to do is grab another one of our clamps, get that onto the outlet slip joint, and send this over our axle. We'll get this into our muffler first, bring that back. Then we can get our hangers into our isolators. So, bring that back a little bit, make sure they sit nice and square. Then we're just going to snug this clamp down enough to hold some tension on it, but not fully tighten it just yet, again with our 15mm socket. Now before we install our outlet and tip section, we're going to have to remove this factory isolator. So we've got our hanger removal tool, get this off, just like so. Then we can install our new provided isolator. Now the upper section is going to go onto the colleted hanger rod that's on your chassis side. Push that on. That's going to allow for the new hanger rod on our outlet section. Now we can get our new outlet section on. So we've got our provided clamp. We'll slide that over our slip joint first. Get this seated onto our over axle section. Now you want to make sure this is in the right orientation, because you will be blocked by your spring mount. This may take a few tries because it is kind of a tight fit. You may even have to hook this in first. Bring this back. Get this in position. Now we can get our slip joint clamp in position. Once again, we'll grab our 15mm socket and we're going to fully tighten this one down. You just want to make sure you're happy with where your outlet's going because that's also going to be where your tip's going to go. Alrighty guys, so now we can get our tip in place. Now we've got our provided tip clamp. We'll slide that over the slip joint. Get our tip onto our outlet. Now your tip does have a slash cut. You want to point that as straight up as possible. And we can grab our 15mm socket. Now, one thing to note is when you start tightening this down, your tip is going to want to move from a little bit of vibration. You want to keep a hand on it while you do this. And we'll go back and tighten down that one clamp, and we'll be good to go. Now we'll tighten this down fully, and that'll do it. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our C&L Single Exhaust System with black tip and side exit for your 05 to 15 4-liter Tacoma. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Tacoma, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.